Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and it is that time of year. This is the time of year that I start trying to decide what I can contribute to my IRAs over at iTrustCapital, my partner. For Roth IRAs, the 2025 limit is $7,000, $8,000 if you're 50 or older. For the SEP IRA, is the maximum SEP contribution is $70,000, which is lesser of 25% of an employee's compensation, or $70,000. And by the way, if you own a company and you have a SEP IRA, it's tax deductible. So let's say you contributed $70,000. That's a $70,000 expense for your company. That's huge. If you haven't looked into iTrustCapital, I encourage you to do so. You can get a $100 funding bonus, so you can go, in my opinion, everybody on earth, and I'm not a financial advisor, but in my opinion, the greatest crypto move that I ever made was opening a Roth IRA and buying XRP in it. But you can go and open one. There's a $100 funding bonus. You go to iTrustCapital.com/XRP Army, and it'll take you right to this page. So everybody's all freaked out. The market now, XRP's at 218, but this is, as usual, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at $3.13 trillion in a market that is probably sooner rather than later going to go to 10, and then it's going to go, in my opinion, to 100 and beyond. Okay, because this is the asset class to swallow all other asset classes. Let me reiterate the point. Yesterday, this is a true story. I sat down with a banker yesterday. Crypto came up, and she immediately went on to how closely they monitor any crypto activity. She only talked about it in the context of scams and money laundering. I brought up SWIFT transfers, went over the expense and the time it takes versus what you could do with XRP. She agreed on that. She totally was like, yeah, I mean, sometimes it takes days for a wire transfer to go through. Then I explained to her how every financial product that she sells is going to be tokenized. And it was literally like a robot was short-circuiting. She couldn't comprehend it. And it was a pretty aha moment for me to realize that the average person in these financial institutions, all they've been told for the last 10 years, oh, that's a scam and crypto, and it's dangerous, money laundering, drug dealers, and that's all they've been told. That's all the world's been told. But the world is about to have it explained to them. No. This is. Oh yeah, some of that early stuff was a scam or whatever. There were scams along the way, but that's not what crypto is at all. And when the world does realize that, you're going to realize how insignificant these market pullbacks that we're going through right now. This kind of stuff. It is a flea on a dog's butt, folks. When you take a step back and you realize the big picture, we are so early. Many of us have been here so early, but we're still so early. I mean, we really are. And so let's go through. And this is I always reiterate this point. Don't borrow against your XRP. Don't leverage your XRP. The market is too immature right now. John Deaton's making the point it's simple. Don't use leverage, showing the crypto market liquidations. Charles Hoskinson has it right here.
Crypto is the opt-out. Crypto is the exit. Crypto is the solution. And so, yes, the markets go up, and yes, the markets go down. But there's some directionality to that. The long...
Whoops. I think that's... Here, let me try that again.
Is the opt-out. Crypto is the exit. Crypto is the solution. And so, yes, the markets go up and yes, the markets go down. But there's some directionality to that. The long.
I don't know what's going on with that video, but you get the point. He's right. Let me hit the refresh so that doesn't start playing again. There's a lot of things on market perspective today. This is the Bitwise CEO. Says we're about to exit a bear market. We talk about 4-year cycles, but the reality is that the model is based on a bygone era of crypto. Since the launch of Bitcoin ETFs and new administration, we've entered a new market structure, new players, new dynamics, new reasons people buy and sell. I think there's a pretty good chance that we've been in a bear market for almost 6 months now and are almost through it. The setup for crypto right now has never been stronger. And here's Tom Lee and Matt Hogan.
I think the good news is there are signs of exhaustion. I did speak with Tom DeMark of DeMark Analytics, and he thinks there are signs that would look like a bottom that could be occurring sometime this week.
Matt, do you agree with Tom here?
I actually do exactly agree with Tom. I think we're nearing a bottom. I look at this as a great buying opportunity for long-term investors. Bitcoin was the first thing to turn over before this broader market pullback. It was sort of the canary in the coal mine, signaling that there was some risk in all sorts of risk on assets. I think it'll be the first thing to bottom, and I agree with Tom. We're getting very close to that point. So I think it's an exciting opportunity, again, for people who are looking out a year or more into the future.
Yep. There's going to be a lot of people that regret selling in this market. And here's Kathy Wood.
What you can see here is a tightening in liquidity. Now, I look back pre-COVID and I think, well, why won't we be going back to that level of liquidity? You can see in 2017, 18, and 19, again, those were the Trump years. We were doing just that. We were lowering the liquidity. Now, in 2018, that was a big up year for the stock market. 2017, sorry. 2018 and 19, those were weaker years for all kinds of financial assets. So when liquidity dries up, financial markets struggle. And I think that's partly what's going on right now. And as I mentioned at the outset, we think that the Fed will continue to ease, the government will reopen, and so the Treasury General account will release funds as well.
Okay, now, this is another great commentary on what's been going on.
In your note, Dirk, correct me if I have this wrong, we're trying to find explanations for what's going on with Bitcoin. Were you pinning that on tightening liquidity?
That is one of the explanations. So there are a couple of things going on in Bitcoin that are interesting. First, there was a
I don't know what's going on with...
For Bitcoin itself, it was a 14% move down over 2 days.
Man, is X having problems today? What's going on here? Let me hit the refresh and try start from where it was. What is going on here? I do not know, but we're going to try to move on and hope it doesn't happen with other things. This is a great one from Raul Paul. Please play.
People. That sent me down a rabbit hole of, okay, what's really going on here? And the kind of foundational work that I did called the Everything Code was based on this 4-year cycle to do with the 4-year debt maturity of the United States and most countries. And I redid the work and found out that in 2022, because interest rates got down to 0 again in 21 and early 22, they restructured the debt to 5 years. So it's added another year. So we've got this weird kind of hybrid extra year that we've never had before. And we've seen that in things like the business cycle. The ISM survey gives us a guide of the business cycle. And people talk about this K-shaped economy where, growth stocks have been going up. But meanwhile, things like the economy have been relatively slow for normal people. And that's a function of this business cycle not picking up, rates staying high, and the fact that they didn't need to refinance the debts in massive size this year. But it all comes to next year. So it's been really a patience game of the sideways choppy market. But people forget also, last year was the same. Last year peaked in somewhere early in the year and then did nothing all year. Everyone got so frustrated. Everyone was fleeing poo at each other online and getting angry with each other. And then before you know it, took off like a rocket ship in November and December. And I think it's somewhat similar this time around. And the rocket ship this time around is based on the fact that they've kind of not been adding liquidity into the US. That's the magic formula that drives the price higher, the debasement of currency. And what they've done, what's happened is there's various mechanisms they use to add liquidity. The classic used to be quantitative easing, where they just print money and put it on the balance sheet. But this time around, they've not been doing that. They've actually been tightening. And so then they have this mechanism called the reverse repo and then the Treasury General Account. And these things they've been using. And what's happened is the government shutdown has stopped the government actually spending money, which means that they've held back and maybe $250 billion of stimulus that needs to come into the economy. So that, as soon as the government reopens in the next few days, we'll start to see liquidity flowing back in. Then we've got the Federal Reserve cutting rates. Then we've got the Clarity Act coming. Then we've got some changes to bank regulations to allow them to hold more reserves. And before you know it, the whole liquidity flywheel kicks up.
The liquidity flywheel, we're going to have to put that on a thumbnail. I'm writing it down. Now, going right into what he just said, here's some of the things that are coming. This is Scott Bessent.
How long will that take?
Treasury Secretary.
I think we are going to see a substantial acceleration in the economy in the second quarter. And I think we are also, we're already seeing on many prices, as I said, we're bending that curve down, and the increase in real incomes, I think Americans are going to feel it in the first quarter, second quarter. I think 2026, thanks to President Trump's signature plans, is going to be a great year for working Americans, for the markets. I call it parallel prosperity. Main Street and Wall Street can both do great, but I think Main Street's going to have a great year in 2026.
That's what I think, but I think it might start showing up towards the end of this year too. The tariff payback, Trump says Americans could soon cash in on tariff revenues with checks worth up to $2,000 hitting mailboxes by mid-2026, folks. It's coming. Here's Zach Rector, an updated XRP ETF launches. Canary Live 1113, Bitwise 1120, Grayscale 1124, Franklin Templeton 1124, Wisdom Tree to be decided, 21 shares same, CoinShares same, Wisdom Tree 21 shares, CoinShares have not updated their filings properly to start the 20-day countdown. Okay, a lot more on XRP ETFs and all the good news for XRP. We're going to do that in the group. You can go to daixrp.com. That's the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click join below any of these videos. If you'd rather join through X, hit subscribe. We do the full video plus the extended video, and you don't have to deal with any commercials in there. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe. Hit the like button. Tell your friends and family. Here we go.